Okay. So kind of while I'm creating this case file, I just kind of like to let people know about how the interview kind of will take place. So kind of for the interviews that I conduct, there's going to be kind of three different parts of it.
Sure.
So the first part of the interview is just kind of yes or no questions or short answer questions. And once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and go to the second part of the interview. So for the second part of the interview, I'm going to go kind of get into depth more about the discrimination that you encountered, and just kind of ask some more questions about that, get some more in-depth information about that.
Okay.
And then kind of once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and go to the third part of the appointment. So for the third part of appointment, I kind of would let people know what would happen if they file an EEOC charge of discrimination. So if they have any questions, they can kind of ask me during the third part.
Sure.
I'm kind of looking at your case file here, and it kind of indicates that you're the employer. I think this is the right case file here. I think that you indicated that the employer is the United States Special Operations Command. Is that right?
United States Army Special Operations Command.
Okay. Are you an employee of the federal government?
I am an employee. Well, I was attacked while I'm employed, and I've been going through retaliation ever since I've been attacked.
Okay. Sorry that happened. And so you are an employee of the federal government. Did I catch that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Let me look at your case file real quick. Just a minute. Oh, okay. So Mr. Lynch created this case file for you, yeah?
Yeah, it's 433-202-400-595.
Okay. What was the nature of the discrimination that you encountered? Was it sex-related, age-related, race-related?
It started with I would say race and religious preference, and then it got into I got sexually assaulted while I was at the hospital going through recovery, and then I was discharged under an alias record, and I've been going through retaliation ever since.
Okay, alrighty. So sort of there's two different sides of the EEOC. I guess sort of what I mean by that is that there's kind of this the non-federal sector side, and then there's the federal sector side, right? So kind of like if somebody is an employee of a private organization, or one is an employee of state government, a local government, kind of under those circumstances, they can file a charge with us and we can investigate it. Now, kind of, if one is a employee of the federal sector, like one is a federal employee, for example, I'm a federal employee. Somebody who works with the CIA, the Department of Labor. They are, they're federal. Their employer is the federal government. So for those kind of class of employees, they can file a complaint with the EEOC, but the way that they do so is a lot different from the way that people in the non-federal sector would do it. So somebody who's not part of the federal sector, they would kind of walk in, we would have an interview with them, and then kind of afterwards, I would type up the charge document, and they sort of would sign it, right? Once they would sign it, that would be an officially filed charge. Now, the way that a federal sector employee would do it is different. So the way they would have to do that is they would have to go to their own organization's internal EEO department.
I've tried.
And they would have to make a complaint there. Now, I can't remember the exact date. Kind of, is it within 90 days after? I want to say 90 days, but federal sector is not the exact sector that I work in. So I wouldn't really be able to kind of, tell you. But yeah, the person would have to go to their own organization's internal EEO department. They would have to make the official complaint there, and then only sort of after they go through that process would it end up as an EEOC federal sector case, and it would have the letter X at the end of the numbers. So, but yeah, I'm not really able to kind of see the charges with the X at the end.
Can I get a complaint number with the X, and can I get a decision letter so I can file a suit?
Yeah, so sort of in order to file, if you were to file a charge with us, like we would close the case and you wouldn't be able to do anything with it. So kind of the only way, and unfortunately I can't generate a number with the X the end, yeah, you would have to kind of go to your own organization's internal EEO office and make a complaint there. And I do know that we do have, I can't remember, I know that there's 2 investigators with a very similar, one is like Rivera, and kind of, I know that there is an employee here. Let me give you an email just a minute. I know that this is kind of a, and where were you located physically when the discrimination occurred?
I was at Fort. Well, it's called Fort Liberty now, but it was Fort Bragg when it initially happened.
Fort Bragg. Okay, yeah, I know Fort Bragg.
Yeah.
So let me just kind of pull up my notes here because I have an email that could be useful for you. Just a minute. Yeah, so kind of like definitely race and religion do fall under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, so that is jurisdictional, but the way you would do it would just be kind of through federal sector. So let me get you that email. Let's see here.
How do I get the letter to so I can file suit? Do I have to have a federal case number with the X at the end of it?
Yeah, you would have to go to your own organization's internal EEO office. You would have to go through the process, and then only later, once you have gone through that process, would it appear with the would you have a case file created for you with the X at the end? And kind of like after that would occur, and I'm assuming that the federal sector works exactly like the non-federal sector, but the way it would work with us in the non-federal sector would be the person would make that official EEOC complaint, that official EEOC charge of discrimination. And after that has occurred, kind of the investigation can continue. We would try to get more information about the discrimination that occurred. We would try to find cause for there having been the discrimination, kind of ascertain that there was that discrimination. However, there are certain occasions that, kind of before, it kind of like maybe some people actually just file charges just to get the notice of rights to sue document. So in that case, like the person might say, "Hey, I filed the charge. You don't need to investigate it. I want to be immediately issued my notice of rights to sue document." So what would happen in the non-federal sector is we would kind of close that case, give the person their notice of rights to sue document, and then within 90 days of the issuance of that document, they could go to federal court and file a suit against the accused employer. So I don't know if I'm assuming I'm assuming that the federal sector will be exactly like the non-federal sector, but since I don't work within that sector, I don't know. So let me get you this email. Do you have I think I saw you had a notepad there.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm taking notes.
So let me pull up this email just a minute. Oh yes. Okay. So I'll send you an email also, just so you have it. Just a minute. So is it your email is at Timothy ADAMPAYNE?
ADAMPAYNE at proton.me.
Okay, let me just send this to you here just a minute. Okay, Timothy ADAMPAYNE at proton.me. So let me send this to you. Federal sector. Yeah, so the reason why it says Charlotte in the email that I'm sending you is because the Raleigh is part of the Charlotte district. So kind of like, let me, and if you want, I can give that to you over the phone as well, just to be extra careful.
I'm gonna read you my email. Okay, John. Yeah, I got it.
Okay,
So
great.
let's
Yeah, the
see.
Charlotte hearings at EEOC.gov.
Yep.
So if you had any questions, yeah, maybe you could ask them. Like, sometimes people ask me, like, I work for USPS or something, and like, who do I go to specifically? And I just wish I could know all the different, federal sector departments, EEO departments. They might have, like, if you don't know who you go to, they might be able to potentially provide you with that information, maybe. Yeah, that could be a good email to kind of go to if you have any questions about the general federal sector, kind of process. But yeah, you would have to, in order to make that complaint, you would have to go to your own organization's internal EEO office, and then you would have to start.
I've done that.
There.
They did not give me any contact information. They did not speak with me. They would not assist in any capacity, and it's been retaliatory in nature.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could kind of give you some information about that, but yeah, I guess sort of and I do apologize for kind of being redundant here a little bit. That's not my intention. For some reason, when I kind of talk to people about federal sector, I always become redundant. I don't know what my problem is, but yeah, basically, you would have to kind of go to that office and kind of make that complaint there. Yeah, I think that kind of maybe you would have to ask around, but I think that eventually they might kind of point you in that correct direction. And did you, just kind of as a quick side note here, did you kind of tell them that it was religion and race related?
Yeah, I told them that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if you said religion and race, it should be clear to them what you're trying to do. Um, and kind of before I go, might you have any questions for me, or anything I could help with, or maybe that's kind of all for now.
Well, when I was on the site, it said that I could do a complaint here in person regarding the charge, and then request the official letter. And um, I just don't know where the disconnect is with that.
Did they know that your case was a federal sector case?
No, I'm just saying that when I was on the EEO website for before I came down here today,
Okay.
and it was just stating that you can come to this place and they can file a charge on your behalf in person through the interview.
Okay. So the EEOC website, it is primarily a website that is, let me sort of share my screen here. I might be able to kind of provide you with some, I never really look at the place on the EEOC website for federal sectors, but let me see if I can find any information here for you. So let me just see here, EEOC federal sector. Let me just do a, see here, federal sector, here we go. So a whole bunch of information here about federal sector. So let me just send this to you in email in just a minute. Okay. Yeah, so sort of like the federal sector, most of the EEOC website is kind of oriented towards the non-federal sector cases. I'd probably say that about 90% of the, I mean, I don't really know how many federal sector cases there are out there, but the EEOC website definitely is kind of oriented towards the non-federal sector side. Now, if you were to make a complaint with us, we were to, theoretically, if we were to kind of conduct the interview, I mean, that's what I'm here to do, of course, is conduct interviews and type up charges. But if you were to do that, your case would not be able to be proceeded with. It would have to be closed out because your case is a federal sector case, and you would have to kind of go to, your own organization's internal EO office and make the complaint there.
If you
later on would it come back to us as one of those cases with an X that I can't see.
So if you close out the interview, don't I get the letter for a lawsuit?
No. The reason why is that first you would have to file an official EEOC charge of discrimination.
Okay.
Yeah, right now you have not. We created a case file for you. That is what we call an inquiry. So that inquiry is not at all an official charge of discrimination. An official charge of discrimination document needs to be signed. So if you were to sign the charge with us, we would have to kind of close that out, and you wouldn't be able to kind of proceed further since you didn't go to your own internal EO's
No, I
office
have.
before doing so.
I have. They would not work with me. They would not communicate with me.
Okay, so in the past, over the past, I guess 3 years or 4 years that I've been here, there have been a lot of people who kind of come to me and they're like, they're not being communicative. Can you give me some information about them? How do I go forward? But have you told them that you want to file a complaint so it goes to the EEOC?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Have you sent them an email?
I've sent multiple emails. I've called.
Okay.
And I've recorded my callings. And I've had no response. And then the only response that I had was file with the Board of Corrections for the Army Review Board. And when I got the response, they said they lost material, they couldn't find documents, and so they said I had the right to an appeal, but they still did not correct my information.
Okay. Now, sort of those internal EEO offices, they're not part of the EEOC. They might sort of take you to the EEOC eventually, but they're sort of these individual offices that belong to whatever your employer is. Like even the EEOC has its own internal EEO office, just like the Department of Labor might or OSHA might. Where sort of like for your organization, they do also have their own internal EEO office, right? So I wish that I could just kind of write them an email and say, hey, you're being irresponsible, you're not being responsive, can you please do your job? I don't really know how I could reach out to these people and kind of let them know that that's their obligation to process your complaint. But yeah, if you were to file a charge with us, that would just like nothing would really occur. So in the past, I've been told that I'm not able to kind of conduct interviews because, if the case is a federal sector case, that sort of would go nowhere. And, unless they would kind of go to their own organization's internal EO office, make a complaint there, and then only later on would it be transferred to us. And then, the charge would be filed. And then afterwards, once that has been done, the person could request a notice of right to sue document, assuming that the federal sector is just like the civilian non-federal sector, right? But yeah, sort of after that would occur, my understanding is, even though I'm not somebody who's in federal sector, I would assume that if it's anything like non-federal sector, you also, once it has been filed, you could request your notice of right to sue document and bring that to federal court.
I want to still go ahead and file the charge and then have you close it out.
Okay, yeah. So kind of in the past, the way that I've been told to kind of do this is that I'm not kind of allowed. I mean, look here, to be honest with you, like before I transferred to the Raleigh area office, I was working with the Philadelphia district office. Kind of the way that the protocol across the board, how does the Philadelphia district office do it? Well, across the board, we pretty much I'm told not to conduct the interview because it would go nowhere. Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah. So, I mean, if you want, I could sort of, I could put you on hold and I could call up Jennifer Lane and just kind of ask her. She's the intake supervisor, and I could sort of ask her input on that. Would that be something that could be helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just kind of put you on hold. Let me call Miss Lane.
Okay.
Okay, looks like I'm not really sure since this is, I might have to kind of hang up and call Miss Lane. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, just a minute. And let me just kind of get do you have your cell phone with you?
Yeah.
Okay, just a minute. Okay, what's your number?
It's 470-398-8133.
Okay. 470.
398-8133. Yeah.
Okay, just a minute. I'm gonna go hang up, and I'll give you a call back in the next couple minutes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello?
Is that it?
I think so. Hello?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
My name's back here. So I kind of talked with the intake supervisor of the Raleigh office. So she informed me that the protocol that we have in Philadelphia is indeed the same process, the same protocol that we have in Raleigh. So we're not able to kind of have the interview since I'm just supposed to kind of tell people, like since you are a federal employee or a federal employee, the place that you would make that complaint would have to be at the internal EO office.
Where is that in the U.S. code?
That you would have to go to your own organization's internal EO
Yeah.
office?
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good question. I just know that for the last, whether it's been in Philadelphia or it's been in Raleigh, I've had my supervisors tell me that if one is a federal sector employee, they're going to have to go to their own organization's internal EO office. If you ask me about legislation, I can tell you, titles, race and religion fall under Title
No,
7
but
of the
I'm
Civil
looking
Rights
at the
Act.
U.S. code under the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and it doesn't say anything about federal agency, or a state agency. So it's just any, it says any employee. It doesn't specify who. It just says any employee. Like, it doesn't segregate state, local, federal. It just says any.
Yeah, there are certain times in where the EEOC website, I wish it was more particular. It's not really as detail oriented as I would like it to be. Um, for example, the EEOC website says retaliation is, we cover retaliation. That's right. Yeah, we do cover retaliation, but we only cover specific instances of retaliation. Like if I report my boss for bribery and I'm discharged from employment, that doesn't fall under the jurisdiction of the EEOC. So it would have to be, I'm reporting religion discrimination or I'm reporting race discrimination. So only under those circumstances would that retaliation be jurisdictional, but the EEOC website in a lot of places doesn't go over that. So, we wouldn't really be able to. So, where in the criminal code or not in the criminal code, where in the code, is it written? I'm not really sure. All I can say is that with confidence that, we're not really able to have the interview because there's a totally different process you would have to go through since you are a federal sector employee. Did I kind of answer your question maybe a little bit?
I'm looking at the federal code right now, or the United States Code, and it's under 42 U.S. Code subsection 2000E to 4, and it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't say anything that I see so far where it speaks on different federal agency, state agency, local agency. It's just like I said, it just stated employee
Okay.
specific.
Okay. So like, I mean, I don't really know what that information relates to. I'm not a legal scholar, so I can't really comment on that. But yeah, do you have any other questions, maybe, or anything else I could help with?
I would like to still file the complaint or file the charge and then just have it dropped, like go through your process. That way, I've done my due diligence and I can take it back to my employer and tell them that, hey, look, I'm working at this and I want this done. I want my stuff fixed, and that way I can show them that I'm doing my due diligence.
Okay. So did you get my phone call just a little while ago and my voice message?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you have your phone with you?
I do.
Okay. Could
I
you check and
do
see
have a
that
missed call,
Okay. All right.
but I
Did
don't
you
know
get a
who
voice
we.
message with that as well?
What's that?
Did you get a voice message as well?
It did not say that I got a voicemail yet. So it might be. I think it might be the what's it called? The distance or whatever, out of range or
Okay.
whatever.
Alrighty. So I would have to kind of check with the intake supervisor to see if I'm able to do that. But it's okay if I kind of call you back in the next 2 minutes.
I would rather you not call me on my personal phone, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So let me just kind of talk. I might just have Mr. Lynch. So here's what I'm thinking. If I can't conduct the interview with you today, there's a possibility maybe. I haven't really asked for the protocol on this. Is it possible that I could send you a Form 5A document and have you sign that, and we would just kind of close out that case once we get it from you?
Okay.
If you'd like, I could kind of ask if that's a possibility.
What do you mean by close out? Like, what is it the same? Because I filled out this form. This is just a pre-charge inquiry. It's not even a charge. I want to file a charge,
Okay.
and then have you guys close it out. That way I can take it back to my employer and tell them, yeah, here it is. It says right here, authority, 42 U.S. Code 2000E 5, and then 29 U.S. Code. So it's these are the applicable. Are you talking about the EEOC Form 5A? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah. So do you have the EEOC Form 5A?
I don't have it. I don't know if this one doesn't say. Yeah, this is what it says. Yeah.
Okay. So if you wanted to file, look here. I mean, we wouldn't be able to really process it. I mean, I know that the protocol for the Philadelphia district office, when we get a Form 5A from the federal sector employee, what we kind of do for that is that the way that Philly does it is that we kind of process it, the charge is filed, and then we kind of close out that case. So I don't know if
Yeah, I would just do that.
I'm assuming that you could file it with us, but like would we enter it into your case file? I don't really know. That would be a question for the intake supervisor that she would have to kind of figure out. So I would say that if you wanted to, you could fill out that Form 5A document and you could submit that to us. And
Yeah.
if you wanted to do that, and kind of before I go, do you have and just kind of as a quick side note, now there's kind of 5 different things that make a charge. First of all, the charge document has to have your name.
Yep.
It has to have the name of the employer. It has to have an account of what occurred. Is it religion discrimination? Is it race discrimination? What was the adverse employment action?
Yep.
It would have, okay, yeah, and also would have to have a signature. So as long as it has the charging party's name, the respondent's name, and account of what occurred, a statement you would like to file a charge, as it does have on the Form 5A, and his signature, that is a bona fide charger document. So you could, if you wanted to, once you completed that, you can send that to Mr. Lynch.
Okay.
So yeah, and kind of before I go, might you have any questions for me, maybe by chance?
Can I have Mr. Lynch's email so I can ensure that we can maybe get in contact, and then we can make sure it gets under the proper case number, and that because when I send, I want to do. Is it Mr. Lynch that works here? Is it Steve Lynch? Is that?
Yeah,
Okay.
African American gentleman.
Yeah, yeah.
Shorter hair. Yeah, you
yeah.
can ask Mr. Lynch that, and he can provide you with that information.
Cool. No, I don't have any other questions. So I'll send this, and then but this one says it's not. It's a pre-charge inquiry. I want to file a charge. And is there a form specific for the charge? Oh, that's it. Okay, there it is. I see it. I'm sorry. It's kind of confusing. There's one that's kind of like a pre-charge, and then the other one is the charge. Got it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Got it.
And kind of before I go, do you have any other questions for me, maybe?
No, thanks, John. I appreciate your time, and it's been pretty educational. And thanks for what you do. I know you said you were at Fort Bragg before. I've written a book about getting hurt overseas, and I've been donating them, and I've gotten some retaliation from it. But it's real thought provoking in the sense of transition of getting hurt, the road to recovery, how the Army values applied in my own life, and then how it led me to find stronger faith, and to kind of persevere through issues. And that website is chosenleadership.com, and it's available free. It's a free book.
Okay, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you had to go through that, and yeah, and then I think you said you didn't have any other questions. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's it. Is there anything else I should know?
No, there's not that I would know of. Yeah, but I did give you that email, so if they had, maybe that email could be a good place to, kind of send an inquiry if you might have any questions.
Okay, and so this email that I got from the EEOC here, the inquiry submission, that case number is not going to be the same case number of the charge. That's not how that works.
Well, the way I would explain it is that, let's say, for example, one is a non-federal sector employee. One files it. Maybe the person creates an inquiry, like the inquiry that was created for you, that ends in 0595, right? So that's the case file that was created. If somebody had created a case file like that in the non-federal sector, they get sent an SA Form 5A. That charge document will be uploaded to the same case file with the same number. However, like if you were to go to your own organization's internal EEO office, file an official complaint there,
Okay.
It will be transferred to us at the EEOC, would have a totally different number, and if they're still doing it the way they did it years ago, it should also have an X at the end.
Okay. Got it. What's the form number that you have? That way I can write down for my record.
Okay, just 1 minute. And you also have this in the email. I assume I'm going to give it to you now.
Oh.
It's 90. Yeah. You can. That's 984.
Yep.
275.
Mhm.
4826. Once again, that's 984 275 4826.
And that's your number?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Okay. Great. And then this is the case number. So okay. So going back to the Charlotte hearing, what is that? I have to contact them for also the Form 5A.
No. So kind of that email. So even though, and I just want to make sure I'm being clear, not being confusing. And I do apologize for being kind of reiterating. It's not my intent, but so kind of like, even though you would have to go to your own organization's internal EEO office to file that complaint, and only later would it end up with us.
Right.
I just sent that email to you with that email, Charlotte hearings, because that's kind of if you ever have any generic questions about the federal sector process, you can just kind of send them an email, and they can provide you with more information about what is the process, things like that.
So basically, I go back to my unit or my employer. I file with them, then they send it to you, and then you process it. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's right. So you would make that. Let me hang up on this person here just a
Sure.
second. Yeah, that's right. So you would go to your own internal EEO office, kind of the organization. Yeah, you would go to your former organization's own internal EEO office.
Yeah.
You would tell them I encountered race discrimination, religion discrimination, and I want to make a complaint that goes to the EEOC, right? I want to make a federal complaint of discrimination regarding that.
Mm-hmm.
That would end up at the EEOC, and then kind of once and look here, I mean, I wish I could give you like step by step how the whole complex works. The reason why I can't really do that is because I don't work with the federal sector and I don't know exactly what their precise protocols are. However, eventually, what will happen is that if you go through the whole process, it will end up at the EEOC and it will have an X that's put at the end. I know that in the past it had the X at the end. Nowadays, they've kind of got rid of those suffixes, I guess you would call them, at the end. So I don't know if it would have the X, but they still, if you go to the federal sector case, yeah, they still should kind of know what that is, I guess. But yeah, that's definitely the process. But yeah, Emma, you have any other questions, maybe?
When you say federal sector, you mean United States employees.
Oh, yes, sir, that's right. So
Okay.
if you are an employee or were an employee of the federal government, that means that you are a federal sector employee.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any other questions. Like I said, thanks again, John. I'm going to give this to Steve, and then I guess it'll go back down to my employer, or whatever. But I definitely want to have this processed as soon as possible. That way, I can continue my due diligence.
Okay. Right. And thanks for your time today, and I'm sorry if you encounter those types of discrimination in the workplace. And if you have any questions, you can give me a call or hit up the people in Charlotte. Thanks for your
Great.
time today, and have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Bye bye. Fucking joke. Crazy, dude. Shit. Talking on the surface. Yo. Hey, so I give this to you, and you give me a charge number. Is that how it works?
Yeah, I'll put it up there. I'm gonna charge them now.
Cool. Can I get a copy of it?
Kind of told me against federal government stuff.
I just read the law. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It just says employees. It doesn't matter.
So he, watch this. I will get.
Right? Yeah. Dude, I'm reading the law, dude. I'm like, yo, man, that's not what it says. Oh my god. Dude, it's hilarious.
I emailed you myself a copy.
Dude, you rock, man.
From this one, and give it back to you. I got myself a copy. I'll send Jonathan a copy. So everybody's gonna have a copy.
Awesome.
That's all that we can.
So what's the charge? Is the inquiry the charge number also? Is the same thing?
That's the same thing. I mean, that's 433 number. But I think that was an email, right?
Yeah, I got an email too.
Yeah, I put it on this so you can have it.
Dude,
You
you
can
rock.
email it to you as well.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do both, man. That way it's turning into a lawsuit. It's crazy. Yeah, man, it is what it is, dude. It's I tell everybody that want to go into special operations, like, look, dude, you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you got to do. You got to go to school and be a lawyer first. Yeah. It's crazy.
Almost there. Appreciate your patience, man.
No, man, I appreciate you, dude.
I can't wait to over that book, man.
Yo, that book is hardcore, I'm not gonna lie. I do have to update it though, because I did write that back in 2016, so I learned a hell of a lot since. So that an updated copy is. Yeah. Right? Absolutely. 100%. Yep. You ever see the movie Pentagon Wars? It's a movie. I think it's in the 90s. Dude, if you watch it, Pentagon Wars. You know the movie The Princess Bride? You know the guy that wore the black suit?
Yeah.
He's the main character. He's an Air Force pilot, and he's auditing all the records on the Bradley. He's like, why is this costing billions of dollars? And they give him the runaround throughout the whole movie. Dude, the movie is awesome. It's so good.
Pentagon Wars?
Pentagon Wars, yeah. It's a comedy. You'll be dying, dude.
Yeah, I like that type of stuff. I'm gonna still email you everything you need, and I'll let Jonathan work behind the scenes. But as far as what we've done, me and you today, you are all set. Again, thank you so much for your services, Mr. Payne.
Yeah, man, you rock, bro.
And again, I got my copy that's for you.
You have a nice day, sir. Yo, you rock, buddy. God bless you.